Hello and welcome to this Power BI tutorial with me, James from Matador Software. Today we're going to look to end up with something like this, a scatter chart or any visual for that matter, where the title of the visual, as you can see with the white text, changes dynamically dependent on our slicer choice. To do this with multiple slicers, we're going to implement a bit of a DAX measure and some variables and conditional formatting and get this really nice result. So I guess quickly important to look at the data. We've got COVID data, it's historic, but it's good to illustrate the point where we're looking at recovery and deaths. Again, I like to do a really clean but minimalistic dashboard with some shape, shading, a background visual, some line charts and maps to illustrate what we're showcasing. Here's a look at the data. Essentially, like I said, we're looking at recoveries and deaths of previous COVID data by date. Alright, so in order to achieve that dynamic visual title, we're going to need to use measure to create some variables that allow us to control the visual title by the slicers. So we're going to call it selected region and country, and we're going to create a variable for each slicer essentially for that control. So remember, any variable has to begin with VAR, that's how we identify a variable, and we're going to use the selected value DAX function as a method of control. Now, if we only had one slicer, this is what we would use as well. We would only need to use this and concatenate some text. You'll notice at the end of this variable, you'll see a red value currently with some quotation marks. That's our alternative value. So if nothing is selected in our slicer, we can this will show us all countries. So it's quite effective while we don't have a selection made, because that's what we're displaying. We need to create another variable for the second slicer. So we're going to call this select region, because our second slicer, it appears top level is region, the WHO region, as you can see on the left side of the screen. And we're doing the same exercise. So we're using the selected value function within DAX, and we're saying that's going to be the WHO region within our table, and our alternative value, if we've not got anything selected, is all regions. So it's great to have variables stored in memory, but in order to do anything with them, we need to use the return keyword. So we'll do that. Remember, this is going to be the title of our visual, and although it's dynamic, we still need some text to introduce that. So after return by using quotation marks and the death and recoveries in, that will be our leading text. That's what we call hard-coded. That's not going to change. That's going to remain there. But the dynamic elements come in now. So we have the ampersand, and we're going to lead into combine values, where we can reference more than one of our previous selected values variables. So we start with a delimiter. I'm just going to have a space there within the quotation marks. That's fine. You can do the same. And then we're referencing the selected country. So that's either going to show the country that we select in the slicer, or it's going to show that all countries as nothing is selected. We add a bit of text within, and then at the end, again, we select the region variable. So it's going to read something like deaths and recoveries in, it could be Argentina within South America, or it could be within all countries, in all countries within all regions. And you get the point. And we'll see this now that we've created it. So that's great. We've created the measure. It should work fine. I guess the issue now is, what do we do with it? Well, we need to go into our visual. We need to select our visual and go into the formatting pane within visualizations. And within the visual title, we can select conditional formatting and use this measure to format the visual itself. So the title text is no longer hard-coded. It's dynamic, and you'll see the standard value is, as we thought, When we haven't got anything selected, it's going to show all countries within all regions. That's working as we designed it. Also important to note, you need to remember to include a space or some white value within your quotations, so that you don't have words joining together. So if we look at our measure, it functions as we thought. Now let's see what happens when we start to select regions and countries. So it's great. We can drill down on regions or look into the data within regions in our scatter. Gives us really nice visualization, and we can build insights already. And now when we select countries, it gives us the applicable region, and everything is working really well. Our minimalistic and clean dashboard shows us some great data and insights without too much effort, and that's down to the power of strong design, layering, and DAX, and a bit of formatting on our visuals. As usual, if you like this content, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share.